So today I will be going through the NASCAR Racing 2003 points table that I've put together. I don't know if you've seen this, but in my NASCAR Racing 4 videos, this is the points table that I've been using, which is something that I made out of Excel. And I will be releasing a template of this for your own use, which will look like this. But if we jump back into this, so this will display, all the points, all the drivers, the points here. You have the behind the leader, the amount of starts, pole positions. There is a couple hidden columns in here with top 5 starts and top 10 starts, which you can hide or unhide that. The wins, top 5s, top 10s. It'll track DNFs, the average start finishes, laps led, races led, most laps led, the lap completion. This is positional gain and loss overall. Personal lap completed percentage and the lap completed total of the whole season. So if somebody doesn't run all the races like Joe Nemechek here, the number will be different. And then we get, it displays results based on 43 starters. And if the races haven't been run, it displays as a to be determined. There's more stats down here. There's qualifying, laps completed, points, mover, laps led, more and more. Get further down here. This table will do drops. So if you want to run, drop your lowest 3 scores, you can do that. All this just automatically tracks. You don't have to input any of this. There is also a summary table, which this season, portion of this season is actually real life results. So all this is great on my screen, but it will not be on yours. And it hasn't all been filled in. But for instance, I've ran these races and this pulls from the results table to give you, what track you ran, how many laps, how many drivers, the pole winners, the winner, margin of victory, the second place finisher, who was the biggest mover, how many positions did they gain, or the number of leaders, who led a lap, who led the most laps, and how many, the winning car manufacturer, and then it'll pull the cautions and caution laps and AI strength, and the weather. Actually, this is from NASCAR Racing 4, so there's an additional column with 2003 season for the pit stop frequency. I did add that in there. There's also, if you want to keep track of manufacturers championship, and this is all, the rules are explained in the template. Basically, whoever finishes first amongst the 4 manufacturers gets 9 points, second gets 6, 4, and then 3. So you can do that if you wish. It also does power rankings, which you can adjust the number of races here in the top C3 box. So if you want to just look at the last race, you can sort by race and then sort largest to small, and it'll pull, likely from that race, the first place finisher. But you can do, 3 races. I usually run this on 3 or 5 races. Just to sort points, you just click on the power rank here, sort largest to small. Or if you're on points, just click largest to small on points. If you do want to run drop races, you just input, put 5 drops in here. Come up here to points. If you click in this box below points, drops, it has a little drop down arrow. There is points with drops, and then it will resort this with points with drops, and then you just sort again, largest to small, and now you're running points with drops, and you can see this column, probably got to be a little wider, will be points with drop. So you run normal points or with drops. Kind of fun. It was originally made for iRacing League, but simple enough to move forward here. So what you will get will be this blank table. So when you start your races, or when you're making your season, you should probably first read the how to use. I don't know how I built it. So I know all the ins and outs. So this might not be 100% helpful or accurate. So if you have questions, you can leave a comment on this video. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. But starting out, when you first open this, you're going to want to open points. Come up here to the A2 through X2 tab. This is your name of your season or whatever you want to call it. And this updates on all the sheets. So if you change it here, we're going to put league season just to put something in. This updates on the entry list table. It updates on the summary table, on the manufacturers and power rankings and all the tables. The other thing you want to add in here is your track names. So this can do up to 36 races. Can't do more without revising the table. I thought 36 would be plenty, but you just put in tracks up here. So typically for NASCAR, you start with Daytona, probably go Rockingham, and then, you know, whatever other races you want to input up to 36. And if you don't want 36, don't fill them all out. And then so once you fill those two things out, this will also populate into here. So it will fill out track name here in the summary cell. And then from there, if you're wanting to run real names, you're probably going to want to get your list of drivers. So when you start, or when you get when you export from the game, the driver names come in as a first initial last name. I like to display their full name. So this is kind of a copy of what NR 2003 gives you for a name, and then next to it, if you want to put what their real name is, you're going to have to type this section out, which isn't too bad. There are some issues with like similar names. So Johnny and Jay Sauter, for instance, both display as Jay Sauter, or Kurt and Kyle Busch. Those both display as the same name. So those can create issues where you're gonna just have to remember to overwrite the correct one when you get to that point. So what we can do is we can open up a result, and we can I can walk you through one of these really quick. So what you want to do is in your 2003 season installation folder. Now this is my old folder where I have the exports, but your install folder will look exactly like this. So wherever you've installed NASCAR 2003 season, you just want to come to the exports, imports. After you run a race, before you leave that race screen, you do want to export the race results. And then when you do that, these load as HTML files, which if you open it, will look like this. Ran a practice session. So practices are in here, qualifying results are in here, happy hour. But we only really want the race results. And the way the table has been set up, if we go to a race result, it's already pre-filled out. So all you have to do is input this section, which is the 43 starters. So if we go back to the online table, we just need to copy starter 1 down to the last starter. There's only happen to be 43 starters or 41 starters, but this will do, 43 will fit. If we come back into Excel, we can just right click and keep source formatting if you want. It doesn't really matter. I like to match the destination format just so it's just the text. When you do this, whoever led the most laps will have an asterisk. You just want to delete the asterisk. So this is, the beginning parts of our results inputting. Obviously, we I don't like to run the driver names like these. So if we wanted to swap their names, we come in here and you can just, click on race 2, whatever race it is to overwrite it. If you go race 1, obviously I haven't updated this, but it will pull the 43 starters. So if you haven't done this yet, or if this is your first entry, you can just copy from this list, paste into cell D the values, and it'll just, this obviously isn't correct. I mean, Adam Petty's not Bill Elliott, but for this instance, if you put Adam Petty's name here, it would spit out Adam Petty. And you can delete, that whatever extras don't appear. And then you would just copy these names. I'm just going to copy these names just for the sake of speeding this up. Copy those names back into the driver names. And whenever you do that, you just want to paste the values. So right click, paste values. And now our driver names are in here. And if you have 43, you'll have 43 drivers in here. The makes, so this will pull the makes, which we'll do in a minute. But if one of these categories, or if this one in particular isn't long enough, you can just click this cell. There is a little box that appears in the bottom right hand corner. You can drag that down and it'll continue reading on. So if we go back, we're not quite done with the result table yet. So you have the caution flags, AI strength, all this stuff. Just highlight it, control copy, and we can go back into the Excel table. You really just need to click on A55 and hit paste, and it'll populate those. And if you want to check, make sure it's worked, you go back to the summary table, and here we have, the weather's been pulled, the AI strength, pit frequency, caution laps, all that's been pulled. Doesn't have the winning car yet, which we will get here in a second. Some of this also isn't inputted, but we'll fix that here in a minute. So we come back here. There's currently nothing up here. If you wanted to type stuff up here, that's fine. It's just empty space. We do want to take these driver names and numbers, and we'll copy these. And we're going to go to the entry list at the bottom. And then we're going to enter our drivers up here. Again, just paste the values. Now you can see we have multiple iterations of the same person. That's because if you go back to the name, it's referencing, Butch Miller here. There's 2 B Millers. So this is where that error comes up. And because we've already copied the names, we're not going to get the names have already been changed. So this reference, it's trying to look for these references within these results. Because we've already changed it, we get nothing in this column. But so if we go take a couple steps back, there's 2 B Millers. That's why we're getting 2 Dale Jarretts. It's going to pull whoever the highest is in this list. So Dave Blaney is never going to show up. So if we do have to change one of these, we do have to manually just come back. Actually, we shouldn't be changing it there. We should be changing it here. So if the 18 was Dave Blaney, we just have to manually change this name to Dave Blaney. There's another one in here somewhere. There's 2 Dale. So there's the 3 is Dale Earnhardt. The 8 is also Dale Earnhardt Jr. So because these were Jay Sodders. So one was Johnny and one was Jay. One of these should be the other name, but in this instance, it's Jeff Gordon, not Jay Sodder. But I think you get the point. You're just gonna have to manually swap the names if they don't match. So this is just gonna flag, whatever duplicates come up. The other thing is like numbers. If you have a car number that has a leading 0, those don't get read by Excel. So like here we have a 6 Casey Atwood and a 6 Kenny Wallace. If one of these was driving the 06, usually I just come in and punch a 10 for 100 series number, and then we would have to, any edits we make here, we want to copy back to the entry list, and yeah, we still have errors, but I'm not going to worry about that. I think you get the gist, and if you don't, I can explain it better, I think, at a later point. But here's where, if you want to add makes, you can add whatever makes you want. Ford, I think we can only run 4. I've only set this up to run 4. So if you're running, if you're not running Pontiac but want to run Toyotas, you can just change that to Toyota. And whatnot, and it'll get referenced in the points table. But once you have this all set up here, you just copy the list again into the points, and you just paste the top left so the ID is going to be your number, and that goes into C6, and you just paste the values, and it'll auto-populate the whole table. From here, it'll pull all the makes, so you'll see all the makes here. That'll then fill out that section of the table. So, Bobby Labonte won, Bobby got the pole, Bill Elliott won. Spits all this out, so that table's all populated. The manufacturer accounts. We had entered Bill Elliott as a Toyota, so the Toyota is now leading points, and you can change that to smallest, largest. This is going to, reference the changes. This is the first race, so there's been no change in the points table. Oh, you're going to want to change it over here too if you have not. So if any changes you make in H, you're also going to want to scroll to the end and change that in L. So we can just copy these, paste that, paste the values here. There's also a power rankings table, which this is probably the most tricky of all the tables. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's a little confusing, I think, the first couple times to get the amount of rows right. So if we got to paste these in 2 places. So this is the old previous week table. The one on the left is the current table. And you'll see we have extra cells here with no entry. So those you want to delete from both tables because it's trying to pull a number based off all the entries. And you can see this is already auto-populated. That's because right now we're only have 1 race entry and it's only looking at 1 race. But you might still have an error if you have, number of races is higher than the amount that you ran. Something else that may be an issue, if your cells aren't going down to the bottom of the list, like if you have more entries here, you're just, if you have another entry, we're going to put one that doesn't make any sense. So if you have an extra one in both cells, and you need to run based off the entire list, you're just going to have to go through, just going to have to drop these down, I think, 1 row. So you're just going to have to click on the previous cell, come through and just manually drop these until all of them match. It's the best way I've found to do that. But yeah, if you then basically you're going to do the same thing. So once you run your second race, you're going to come into this table. You're going to paste your number 1 starter through all your racers. And then if you have the same race entries every week, you won't have to update the entry list. But if you do have new racers that appear, you just want to copy the list and dump it into the entry list. And any duplicates, kind of like this for Elliott Sadler, say we added new entries below this point. If one is double yellow and they've already entered and you don't want to count them twice, You can just highlight the bottom one and delete it, and it will take it off your list. And you can just continue to add from the bottom of the list. And then, if you have any new entries here, each time you're just going to have to come over to points, and you just right click and just paste the values. We took away this Elliott Sadler, so he's gone, and it'll keep tabulating all the way across the sheet for as many results as you want, and you can sort these any way you want. If you want to look at who was the average starter, you can sort A to Z just by clicking on that cell's arrow. You see all the lap leaders in the same way. You sort it by largest smallest, it says small to large. You can see race results too by sorting A to Z, and it'll pull the finishing order, or if you want to sort by the starting order and Excel, just come over here, sort by the starting order, and pretty simple. So if you get pretty deep into the season, it'll look like this, where you have multiple entries. And if it gets to be too much, you can come up to view, and you can I think it's split. If you highlight the row and you can split it, then you can just scroll on the results page and see, where has Gordon been finishing, and it'll display all that, which is pretty neat. Yeah, I think it's pretty powerful. I haven't really seen anything like it, and it's quite exciting to use. So I've been wanting to release it. It just has taken a while, and I don't know how easy it is going to be for others to use. I know the ins and outs of it because I've built it. But yeah, if you want to download this, it'll be in the description. I will also put up a NASCAR Racing 3 version. It'll work with NASCAR Racing 4. The summary will might be a little wonky. You might get AI strength in the wrong spot if you're using NASCAR Racing 4 for this. NASCAR Racing 3, I think, should work. I did build one of those and I haven't tested it, but I'll put it up if somebody wants to test it out. I plan on doing one for NASCAR Racing 2 as well. Kind of the same format, but those results are a little different, so it might be a little more difficult to use, and I haven't really tested it, so I'm not going to do an instruction video on that, but I will put it up for download if somebody wants to try it. It does the same stuff. Yeah, if you run into problems or notice anything, just leave a comment. I'll try to get back to it. But yeah, I hope this is super straightforward. It makes sense to me, and I hope it works out. So yeah, please share it around. Maybe we can improve upon it, I guess. I don't really know what else to add. This is all just stuff that gets displayed in the results page. So yeah, thanks for watching.